We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Great again. Great again.
Hey guys, good morning and welcome to the American Tribune Live. I am Todd Peterson and so much to talk about. There is so much going on in the news. We had to focus on a single subject today, and I couldn't think of a better topic than celebration of the absolute implosion of the Democrat Party. And I've got to say this up front. This is not because they can't learn from their mistakes. It's not because they're reflecting on their policies and they're just trying something out. They're saying, hey, Trump's doing this. Why don't we try this? We think this is better for the American people. It is none of that. Democrats suffer from the inversion of Christianity. They worship a God. They worship a religion. You can call it the state. You can call it themselves. They worship evil at the end of the day. And they're not going to be able to learn from their mistakes. They're not going to be able to look at the election from November. They're not going to be able to look at the successes of Donald Trump. I mean, he's exposing corruption and Doge, and they're yelling about that because their worldview, their religion depends on promoting evil, whether that takes the form of stealing your tax dollars at gunpoint and funneling, laundering it through various NGOs and other entities that will just do horrible things for this country, propping up protests, propping up evil narratives. Whether it's endless wars overseas, whether it's transing your kids, they're not going to learn from their mistakes because there are no mistakes to be had. The Democrats know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to crush greatness. And actually, as it pertains to the subject here, I mean, we can get really philosophical about what Democrats are trying to do right now. One of my business partners, Will Tanner, just wrote an incredible piece on X, formerly Twitter. It was a picture of an Olmec statue, I don't know, dating back how long. It depends what your view of prehistory is, other alternative ancient history narratives out there. How old is it? Doesn't really matter here. But some indigenous person is crushing a Tesla with this stone head. And what he said was, this is what they do. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Democrats, the globalists, the anti-human crusaders out there, they want to destroy human greatness. They want to destroy human achievement. I connected that to my time as an assistant principal. What became increasingly obvious, I wish it was obvious to every parent out there, that when you send your child to a government indoctrination center, a communist training camp, they don't like smart kids. They hate that there are innate differences between human beings. They hate student achievement. They hate achieving on merit. And so the government school system waters down, it dumbs down curriculum. Anyone that's taken a second to look at the Common Core realizes, like, this is a convoluted hot mess. And that's all by design. That is intentional. It's on purpose. They want your kid stupid. They don't want your smart kid in there excelling. They want your smart kid brought down to the lowest common denominator. They want everyone in special education. They want them all in ELL classes. They want to make sure that all they're ever doing is remediating, teaching them to be compliant, making them reliant on the government. They want to destroy the kinds of minds like Elon Musk that will develop technologies and achievements that will get us into space, rescue stranded astronauts because Biden administration couldn't and wouldn't do it. They hate all of it. They hate humanity. Every policy you look at, I've always said, tell me a Democrat policy and I'll tell it's how it's upside down from righteousness, justice, goodness, morality. This is not an accident. Any policy. If I've got a Democrat troll, and I don't think we got a lot of Democrat trolls, I don't stream on Facebook on my own show. We do stream on Facebook on Fridays on our Freedom from the Press podcast. I do that with another business partner, Jason Robertson. I'm in Rumble Studio. I always say this. I love Rumble. I want to support Rumble, so I use their studio. But it doesn't sync up to Facebook, so I don't really get all the trolls. But if there were a troll, I would love for someone to tell me any policy, any position the Democrats hold, and on the spot, I could tell you why it is wrong, why it is evil, why it is harmful to Americans. And really, you could expand that out to everywhere. Any philosophy, any principles, any fake morals that Democrats pretend to have, it's destructive wherever it goes. It's not just limited to the United States. You can see what Trudeau did up in Canada. You can see what's happening in Western Europe, where they're letting an invasion take place. They're ultimately going to destroy. I think it's too late to turn the tide. England, France, Germany, all these great Western European nations will be gone in the next half century. And again, by design, because they want to destroy. They don't want human achievement. They don't want the marvels of antiquity. They don't want those beautiful cathedrals. They don't want the language, the culture, the literature. They don't want any of it. They want you back in the Stone Age. If I can tie that back into the post that Will Tanner had. Again, it's a rock statue. That's it, crushing a Tesla. It's symbolic of everything that they're trying to do here. And as it relates to Democrats, the Democrats today, they are not walking back any positions. You've noticed what the Democrats are talking about. They're not reflecting on their election loss, trying to figure out, okay, do we need new policies? The American people do not like endless wars. They don't like open borders. They don't like transing kids. They don't like women and female and men's sports, or they don't like men and women's sports, I should say. Turns out the American people don't like anything Democrats are offering, but you're noticing zero self-reflection, zero self-awareness. That's because they cannot learn from their mistakes. I can't stress this enough. Democrats aren't going to learn from their mistakes because it would be like asking a Christian to rethink Christianity. Like, if you believe that Jesus Christ died for your sins, no one is going to change your mind otherwise. You believe that. You believe it to be true. It's the same thing with Democrats. No amount of polling, election defeats, any of that is going to change their mind. They worship endless wars, open borders, transing kids, unlimited abortions. They worship genocide. They worship evil. You're not going to change their minds. They're not learning from their mistakes. This is who they are. They are doubling down. We can see this happening. Then it is simply a doubling down of these evil, grotesque policies. Nothing better exemplifies this. I'm going to pop up a poll. And again, I got to apologize if you're watching the live stream here. I have not figured out overlays and graphics. I can't really get picture in picture. Take a look at this poll. You can see this is from Sunday, March 16th, a CNN poll. So they're polling their own audience. They are polling Democrat voters. Hey, American Democrat voter out there, I can't believe you exist. I can't believe people are that stupid, but you do exist apparently. 48% voted for Kamala Harris. Take a look at who the American Democrat voter, if you're responding to a CNN poll, I mean, the choices here already are insane. Like, this is their bench. This is the Democrat bench. I'm surprised Pete Buttigieg isn't on there. Maybe they even realize he is just absolutely useless and a clown. I'm going to read it off for the people listening on Spotify, though. This is the who's who of Democrats leading the charge for maybe a 2028 run. I mean, things can change overnight. I still thought they were going to put Michelle Obama at the last second, replace Biden, and then replace Harris, but they ran Kamala Harris. I think they just wanted to get rid of her, but she's not going away if you look at this poll. So here it is. This is from top to bottom. The question posed to respondents was, who best reflects the core values of the Democrat Party? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Topping the list is AOC. That is correct. Respondents to the CNN poll, this is from 2 days ago, who reflects the core values of the Democrat Party? AOC, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Hakeem Jeffries, Barack Obama, somehow Obama's still there, Jasmine Crockett, Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, Alyssa Slotkin, who gave the rebuttal to Trump's joint congressional address. They are trying to make her a thing. And then Chuck Schumer and Tim Walz is on the bottom. Now, a lot of people where I'm from in Minnesota, they were saying like, oh, this proves that Tim Walz is done. I didn't look at the poll that way at all. I said, my God, Democrats are doubling, tripling down on this absolute insanity. And again, they have no other option. This is their religion. They worship this. They worship further and further left extremism. They're just out there in the open now. They hate freedom. A lot of these people have some racist tendencies as well. We'll hear some clips from Jasmine Crockett. Absolutely hates white people. And they hate this country because they see it as a white-founded country, which it was. It was founded by Western Europeans who were Christian, and they hate all of that because, again, their religion is the inverse of Christianity, so they hate Christianity. Their religion worships DEI, the other, propping up minorities, equity, which is boiled down simply anti-white. So what you have going on here now is it could not be more clear. What you see in the Democrat Party today, confirmed by American Democrat voters who took this poll, is that we want a Democrat Party that is anti-Christian, anti-white, basically everything anti-American possible. But AOC, and I focused on Hakeem Jeffries is going nowhere. He's Timu Obama. Like, we tried that already. So I still can't believe Barack Obama's on there. I am surprised Greasy Gavin is not higher because he also represents him because he's really slick with his words and he's got the looks. Kamala Harris, the fact that Kamala Harris is up there is astounding too, but I'm focusing today on AOC and Jasmine Crockett. Crockett came in at number 5 on the poll. This is who Democrats want. This is not a return to the center, a return to even Clinton-era politics. Now, Clinton was corrupt. Nothing he really did was great, but a lot of people say, I'm open to listening to this, that Donald Trump is basically Bill Clinton in a lot of ways with his social policies. Uh, Here we are. We are not in the 90s Democrat era anymore. Or at least they lied to you. I mean, Barack Obama lied to you about his position of marriage between a man and a woman, and that was only in 2008. He was clearly lying. He had no intention of ever preserving the sanctity of Christian marriage. So it is all lies, but now the Democrats just say it right out in the open today, folks. I've got clips of Crockett. I've got clips of AOC. You're going to hear what the Democrat Party is today, the core values of the Democrat Party. I'll list them off again. I have a lot of family members and friends that I'm trying to wake up, break out of the matrix, change some minds, stop voting Democrat. A lot of people are too far gone. And the irony is, of course, they think they're better people for voting Democrat. They think they're a good person because they're helping the little guy, the homeless, the failing urban city school kid that just needs more money to pay for something that's going to miraculously turn him into the next Thomas Sowell. They think they're a better person because they look out for the little guy there. They just want everyone to have a fair chance. Don't you understand that DEI is just, they're getting a fair chance, even though we're watching planes flip over again, hitting wings on the tarmac, hiring air traffic controllers based on skin colors. But sure, you're really looking out for the little guy. But then they think they're a better person because what they're basically saying is, I will never write a bigger check to the IRS. Tax season is around the corner here. They will never write a bigger check to the IRS. They will never house an illegal immigrant for themselves. They will never sign up or enlist their sons or daughters to go fight over in Ukraine, even though I had this on my Twitter bio. You can enlist in Ukraine's Foreign Legion. Zelensky would be happy to take you. If you feel so strongly that we need to defend democracy in Ukraine, a democracy, by the way, which has had canceled elections year after year because Zelensky, when you want to talk about a tyrant, is an actual tyrant, shuts down churches, shuts down elections. But sure, let's go save democracy over there. You can enlist my Democrat voting family members and friends. You feel so strongly about the war in Ukraine, you go fight in it. But these people, they hide behind their empty virtue signaling. They say, I'm a better person, I vote Dem. Someone else can deal with the illegals. Someone else can fund the federal government. Someone else can go die in these needless wars overseas. As it relates to Ukrainian and Russian civilians, people conscripted against their will, entire communities demolished, they do not care about them at all. The Laken Rileys, the Jocelyn Norways of the world, they don't care that young girls are getting raped and murdered. All of the 300,000 missing kids from the Biden administration at the border, missing children, you can infer what has happened to those poor kids, assaulted, traumatized. They don't care about them. They're going to pretend to feel good, but they will never take those actions themselves. Look, I'm sorry, my Democrat voting family members and friends, you are frauds. You are moral frauds, and you're cowards because you would never participate in the things that you are voting for. So I'm trying to wake you up, but just take a listen to what you are voting for. And by the way, I would be happy to defend what Donald Trump is doing. You're going to be like, yeah, but Orange Man bad. Short of releasing the Epstein files, which I don't think is going to happen. I think today at some point, actually, let me check real time here. Do we have the JFK drop yet? I don't see a JFK drop. Donald Trump actually last night promised to release in full the JFK files. We'll see when that happens here. I don't think we'll be able to cover it on the show. Honestly, we might have to talk about that on Thursday. With everything else going on, I think we might have to just do a deep dive in what comes out with the JFK files if Trump releases that. I don't think Trump's going to release the Epstein files. I would be shocked. So that would be a disappointment. I don't think he's deporting enough people. I don't think he's ending the war fast enough overseas. But if we're cutting off money, I mean, what else are we supposed to do at this point? Is it a perfect administration? No. But I will defend his choices. I will defend America first. Even if you have an America first policy, let's say tariffs. Are tariffs going to hurt the economy in the short term? Probably. Likely, I will defend that because in the long term, it brings manufacturing back here. It makes us less dependent around the world on other people to make things that we rely on. You come at me, Dems. Let me know what you're mad about Donald Trump, the latest narratives, the hoaxes, whatever they're telling you. I will defend that most likely. You cannot defend anything that Democrats are doing, and yet you continue to vote Democrat. Folks, I'm just fired up about this. I am so fired up. There's no more benefit of the doubt for Democrat voters. Like you think like, well, they're just misinformed. You know, their heart's in the right place. They just want to take care of everyone else. Like, no more of that. Like, you are brainwashed. You are propagandized. You are propping up evil. And there is no such thing. Now that we can definitively say that Doge has uncovered all the USAID corruption, all the NGO corruption, all the government program corruption, the fraud, waste, abuse, the laundering that takes place. I did a clip. Go to our Rumble channel, The American Tribune. Go to the website, theamericantribune.com. We got a great article about Democrat Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, I think of Connecticut. He basically paid his wife. He did pay his wife millions of dollars. He took this money. They created a fake organization. She got those government checks. She enriched herself to the tune of millions of dollars, and he had the gall to go on primetime TV and yell at Donald Trump for exposing corruption, which he has greatly benefited from. None of your tax dollars, and again, you don't even need to pay taxes. As it turns out, the government can just print money that it wants to spend. You paying taxes is a ruse. It's a guise to make you think you're funding the federal government. Turns out it's not. Your tax dollars simply get stolen from you to make you poor. And again, they want to lie to you to think that you are funding this. It's your government. That's not true. They want to reduce inflation. They just want to bring money out of the supply because otherwise all of their spending just keeps inflating. So you are the one that has to pay the price. You have less money because they need to depress the rate of inflation since they print and spend just outrageous sums of money, $36 trillion in debt and counting. It's insane. But again, no more benefit of the doubt for Democrat voters. You're wrong. You've been lied to. You've been brainwashed. You got to break out of it. I want to help you break out of it. And again, the MAGA tent is big enough for everybody. I just want everyone to be America first. I don't know why we're debating this. I don't know why every American is not on board with this. Why wouldn't you want America to be put first if you live in America? That is the whole point of a nation state. You should have a government that looks out for your interest. I don't want America to look out for circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't want America to educate Cambodian youth over there and become better journalists. I don't want any of that stuff. I want my money kept here, and I want this country to be made as great as possible, and I want the rest of the world to be jealous and emulate it. And if they can't, I'm sorry, but we're not the world's police. We're not the world's moral guidance. If someone else wants to do something different in their own culture, in their own country, or they're stuck under tyranny, I'm sorry, but we can't take care of everybody. We have enough problems at home right now. But folks, let's dive into today. We have got some outrageous. I got to start with Jasmine Crockett. She is the face of the Democrat Party right now. Jasmine Crockett is everywhere. I mean, everywhere. She is doing all the rounds on cable television. She is making an absolute clown of herself in these hearings, but she's the one getting attention, and the Democrat Party is staying out of the way. They're like, Jasmine, this is great. Look at you standing up to the mean Donald Trump, the tyrant Donald Trump. Elon Musk is his president. We don't even know if Trump's in charge. Like, the narratives are insane. The narratives are absolutely insane. Let us begin. I just got some congressional hearings of Jasmine Crockett. I will let you come to your own conclusions. This is what people want? This is the face of the Democrat Party? You've got to be kidding me that people are still voting for this.
The only reason we're having this hearing is because somebody got their feelings hurt in a debate, and I don't understand why we're wasting taxpayer dollars. Next time, tell your big boy to show up and be ready to handle the woman in the room who hopefully will become the next president of the United States. And the final thing that I will say is that this election, I didn't ask you a question. The final thing that I will say is that this election is the best example of why y'all are so afraid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because then you can't have a simple-minded, underqualified white man somehow end up ascending. Instead, you've got to pay attention to the qualified black woman that is on the other side. And with that, I will yield.
Okay, so just a sampling right there of her overt racism. Are there unqualified people in positions? Does nepotism exist? Absolutely. No one is saying none of that exists, but Jasmine Crockett simply defends the other side. So she has a problem. This is what's wrong with Dems. Nothing is congruent, nothing makes sense, nothing is coherent. I don't like unqualified white men, underqualified white men ascending to positions of importance. And then at the same time, she says, I love DEI. And now she misconstrues DEI. They all do. I got to give you a definition of DEI for my Democrat voting members, family members, and friends that are tuning in. DEI means you get ahead because of skin color, sex, checking a box, and not because you are good necessarily at what you do. You might be good. That might be a secondary thing. You might have earned it on your own, but because of DEI, you got another look. You got an extra chance. You got the promotion. You got hired. You got accepted because of checking the box, and precisely not because of any other qualifications. Jasmine Crockett is saying, I don't like it when it happens to white people, but I absolutely want it to happen to everybody else. This is not a coherent worldview. This is simply anti-white racism. This is all it ever is, folks, by the way. When they scream about something, it's because they just want to be the ones in power. Democrats are guided by one principle: amass as much power as possible. If that means my argument doesn't make any sense, I don't like it when people are unqualified to get a position if they're white, but I have no problem when they're unqualified but they get the position when they're black. This is not coherent. This just simply means that you don't care what's happening. You just want to weaponize the system in your favor. All right, we're not done. We got more Jasmine. Here we go.
Oh, you just voted to do
Y'all did it first, so
you just.
I just want to run it back, though, to the very beginning.
This is what happens on Rumble Studio sometimes. This is if anyone from Rumble is watching right now, I tried to play 2 different clips, and neither of them worked. I put them in my library. They don't fire up here. I think I can find them again. I'm going to do some scrolling here really fast. Let's see if this is one. Okay, we just had that one. Sorry, folks, we're a live show. I really wanted to play these Jasmine clicks, but this is what happens in Rumble Studio. You put a video in your library. It doesn't boot up right away. We got some things to fix over at Rumble. I can't stream on Facebook. I'd love to fix that as well. Let me see if we can find something really fast. Otherwise, we're just going to head over to AOC. I'm scrolling. I have too many videos. All right, let's see if we can fire up this video then. Switching gears here.
You squeezing us in before you go to church. This has been a rough 72 hours for Democrats. I want to play some of what Democratic Senate Leader Schumer told me on The Lead on Friday about his decision to vote with the Republicans to fund the government. Take a listen.
A government shutdown gives Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge almost complete power as to what to close down, because they can decide what is an essential service. If they determine that SNAP, kids shouldn't get food, is not essential, they can just cut it out summarily. They could fire half the workers in the federal government. It would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the path that House Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I understand that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. And as you saw, we had all but one Democrat in the House that voted for this. So that's 212 Democrats in the House. And then you had the vast majority of senators vote for it or vote against it as well. And so the idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous. And Jake, you and I both know that this administration could care less about whether or not they violate the law. We know that we've had to rely heavily upon the courts. And I want to say, as you're talking about the polling on my party, I want to say that it is the Democratic attorney generals and some governors that are standing up against this administration and bringing those lawsuits and winning every single time. They are losing in court.
All right, she goes on. Again, I'm in Rumble Studio. I can't fast forward to the clip I want. I'm not going to make you listen to it. It's a 7-minute clip right there. Again, the lack of coherence is simply astounding. Do you remember when Joe Biden was president and they just rammed through spending bill after spending bill? They would sign these outrageous things like the Inflation Reduction Act, which just pumped in $2 trillion of brand new money, and they thought that would curb inflation. Like, it's insane. Jasmine Crockett voted for every Biden budget, every CR, every spending bill. And then the only reason she opposed it is because now Donald Trump needs to fund the government. What is she trying to say? Chuck Schumer. I give credit to Chuck Schumer. This is what is disappearing in the Democrat Party, because he's not a complete moron. He is evil. He's a clown. He supports evil. He's not stupid. Everyone can see that had Democrats been the cause for shutting down the government, they would have been blamed. And Chuck Schumer knows the only hopes Democrats have in the midterms and the 2020 presidential election is a faltering economy, because Donald Trump has delivered every single campaign promise: securing the border, ending the war, protecting men and women, protecting young children, not abolishing entirely, I would love to see it all the way, but 50% reduction in Department of Education. Marco Rubio gutted 83% of USAID monies. Donald Trump is delivering win after win after win to the American people. And Chuck Schumer, if he shuts down the government, which actually, full disclosure, I would love for the government to be shut down, because what happens? Nothing. And everyone gets back pay anyways, so what are we crying about? But Chuck Schumer is politically savvy, at least. Jasmine Crockett is just insane. I am thinking right now, not thinking long term, not thinking consequences, because turns out, this is what's crazy to me. I should have pulled up the study here. I think someone did a study on people's inabilities to actually foresee consequences. 30% of the American population, I guarantee they all vote Democrat. 30% of the people walking around you, driving in their car, shopping next to you, sending their kid to school, whatever, voting, they literally, and I mean this literally, cannot think through actions. They are a goldfish swimming in their bowl, and they think this sounds good. I'm mad at Donald Trump, so I'm going to vote no on his budget. They literally cannot comprehend what consequences that might bring. And in the case of Chuck Schumer, he can think through it. He's like, we will get blamed for this. Eventually, Donald Trump will get what he wants, but then that will remain here. But it's astounding. It is astounding to me. They cannot think through their actions. People do not have the ability to self-reflect. Wild stuff there. But Jasmine Crockett would go on to say in that clip that Donald Trump is not going to allow elections to take place in 2028. We are back at this narrative. It came up during the run-up to the November election. You had Liz Cheney out there fear-mongering, saying Donald Trump wanted me to be assassinated, and then Donald Trump this might be the last election America ever has. And again, if you've broken out of the matrix, you understand that every single thing you hear on corporate media or from a Democrat politician is all a lie. It is never true. Never true. It might be based in some far-off corner, a kernel of truth, but it's never true directionally. And now Jasmine Crockett is bringing back that talking point because they're so desperate and so pathetic. Oh no, he's going to cancel elections. It is simply wild stuff. All right, I renamed this. Let's see. All right, it turns out, folks, I apologize. It turns out all of our Jasmine clips that I had in hearings, actually, maybe you're saying thank you, Rumble Studio, for not letting those clips work because it's just more of the same. It is Jasmine Crockett. I think every single one had a tinge of racism, shall we say, screaming maniacally about something that is not true. Jasmine Crockett is simply an awful human being. I don't know. I would love to get down to Houston. Maybe one day I'll fly down to Houston, interview a couple people that voted for her and be like, how has your life gotten better with Jasmine Crockett serving you in Congress? Could they say one thing that Jasmine Crockett has done to lift up and elevate the black community, the oppressed black community, because now they have representation in Congress? They would be like, I don't know. I don't know. Jasmine Crockett. All right. We're going to switch gears. I got some AOC clips I didn't get to on my show last week. But again, AOC, I got to go back to this poll, folks. AOC best reflects the core values of the Democrat Party. Maybe she's not the contender in 2028. I think she runs. I think AOC runs. I don't think the time would ever be better for her than in 2028. And maybe people answer those questions sadly. They're like, yeah, AOC is where the party is. Maybe it's not AOC leading the charge. Maybe it's the Democrat Party that it's changed now. AOC just kind of, that's who they are. But yeah, Democrats, open border, foreign wars, transing kids, soft on crime, mutilation of young children's bodies, trafficking of drugs and women across the southern border. Like nothing good. Unlimited abortions. I live in Minnesota. You can kill a baby after it's born if it survives a failed abortion attempt. And AOC would love to murder more kids. Fact check true. But again, Democrats, you're voting for this. And a lot of Democrat voters out there, all my family members and friends, they work hard, they have a family, they coach their kids' t-ball games. Like they're good people. And then they prop up all of the evils of the Democrat Party. I simply can't wrap my head around it. But let's see if we can get these AOC clips to work.
And I want you to understand, I want everyone to understand that tax cuts cost money. We have to pay for them. So every dollar that you spend in federal taxes is going to pay for some rich person's G-Wagon, and it's also going to cut in 8-year-old kids with autism's ability to access Medicaid. That's what they are putting on the table. That's what they're trying to make worse. And frankly, I don't care what party you are, we cannot stand for this.
All right, this is from the AOC School of Economics. Folks, AOC has an economics major. Her major is not worth the paper it is printed on. There is not a better, I can't think of a better example of why you don't need to send your son or daughter to college. AOC majored in economics, and she's trying to tell you that when the federal government gets less in income tax revenue, if we were to abolish the IRS tomorrow, that costs us money. We still have to pay for that. No, AOC, that's more money in my pocket that I will decide how to spend or save. And by the way, when I spend money as an individual, that helps the economy grow. That is real GDP growth. When the federal government spends money, you are not accomplishing anything. The federal government cannot create. The federal government can only steal and suppress. AOC, completely moronic. She is brainwashed by her communist philosophies, can't even understand basic economics here, but that represents the Democrat Party. They're not interested in truth. They're not interested in living in reality. They're not interested in science, whether it's economics or climate science or biology. These people do not care. They believe in their religion. It's a religious worldview. They worship the inversion of Christianity. They worship the inversion of freedom, inversion of truth, however you want to describe it. Democrats, every single position they hold is upside down, is the inverse of the correct response. And again, I don't think I get trolls on Rumble, Locals, YouTube, X. But if you are a Democrat out there and you want to be like, Todd, I think you're wrong, please drop a chat. I will respond in real time and tell you how you are wrong to your face. But this is why none of my family members or friends will talk politics with me anymore, because they have to shield their worldview. Their entire psyche is built upon lie after lie after lie. And once you expose one lie, they don't even know who they are as a person anymore. Jordan Peterson made this point. I think it was in the documentary Hoaxed. Mike Cernovich's fantastic documentary. It's banned on Netflix, banned on Amazon because it's too good. But Jordan Peterson makes an appearance in there. And I know people have a lot of opinions about Jordan Peterson now. Very pro-Israel, joined the Daily Wire. He was really good when it came to psychology, when he's talking macro, global, geopolitical affairs. Maybe not so much. But Jordan Peterson was spot on when it comes to the psychology of people. If you tear down everything that they've built up, their entire worldview is predicated on lies. And if you start removing the Jenga tiles from their psyche, it can be pretty disastrous for these people. That's why I did a 2.5-hour episode. I think it was one of my first episodes I did on this podcast. You can go to Rumble, you can go to the American Freedom Live at Todd Peterson channel, scroll down to one of the initial videos. It's only back in October, so the library is not huge still. I do 2 shows a week. But I did 2.5 hours going over all of the Trump hoaxes. I am not the first one to debunk them. It is not even the most thorough, comprehensive debunking of Trump hoaxes, but it's an introduction to some of the biggest hoaxes out there. I explain the hoax, I tell you why it's wrong, and I always ask you the question afterwards. If they're willing to lie to you about something that is so obviously false, Charlottesville, he never called them fine people. He never called for the assassination of Liz Cheney. He never said he would incite a bloodbath in the streets if he lost the election. He never said anything. He was never a Putin ally, a Putin puppet, Russian collusion. I did so many hoaxes. I even covered J6. J6 is harder for these Dems to wrap their head around, so I always say, talk about J6 last. You need to do the low-hanging fruit. Here's a soundbite of Donald Trump disavowing KKK and white supremacists. Here's a video of Trump saying Liz Cheney makes a decision to get your son and daughter killed from a cushy Washington office, and maybe she should be on the front lines and experience battle for herself before she votes for someone else to die. The economic bloodbath that would occur with all the manufacturing leaving the country under Democrat policies. All you have to do is play a 30-second soundbite to debunk the entire narrative and entire hoax. And again, you ask yourself, if they're willing to lie about this, you can talk about J6. It just popped in my head. Officer Brian Sicknick. I talked about Brian Sicknick. He did not die at the hands of a fire extinguisher. This is the New York Times wrote about the day after J6. So you had Obama, you had Harris out there campaigning on the fact that police officers died on January 6th. This was in October. What are we, 4.5 years removed, or 3.5 years removed from J6? Even the New York Times redacted that post. They edited the post. They updated it. They still ran on that lie, even though you can just do a quick search and be like, oh, no, police officers didn't die on January 6th. What else are they willing to lie to you about? And the answer is everything. They're willing to lie to you about everything. But people are so afraid of being confronted with one truth, one fact check, one rebuttal to their worldview, because they would quite literally collapse. As Jordan, again, I was going back to Jordan Peterson talking about the crumbling psyche. Their entire outlook on the world, they wake up, they seek out certain news sources. It's all dependent on the lies that have been told to them over and over and over again. So they're afraid to confront the truth. But again, I encourage you to go to the Trump debunking episode, 2.5 hours long. Even this episode today, we are just exploring what Democrats represent. Even if you never want to confront how they lied about Donald Trump and you just started today, I'm willing to explore options, and you're listening to Democrats, you're seeing what Democrats are advocating for, you're seeing what Donald Trump is accomplishing. Are you really going to make the case that Democrats offer a better platform, better vision for this country? Brainwashed isn't enough, folks. I have said this too. I'm kind of done saying that they're just brainwashed sheep. You can be as masked up as you want, boosted as you want, dependent on MSNBC for the news all you want. At some point, brainwashing isn't enough, because we were all given free will by our Creator. We have free will. If you choose to ignore rationality, the ability to rationally think, if you choose to ignore your free will to maybe ask yourself, I don't think that narrative makes sense because I saw a full clip of Donald Trump saying something, or I saw AOC talk about this and that doesn't make any sense to me. If you abdicate the free will and the rationality given to us by God, it's not brainwashing anymore. It is stupid. I don't even think you're a fully developed human being. I'm going to reference Cernovich again because I was thinking about this for a long time. He actually wrote about it over on X. How can you call yourself a fully developed human being? How can you call yourself fully living if all you do is operate every day based on programming from the regime? If all you do is get angry because someone on CNN told you to get angry, or there's a new narrative today, suddenly we're going to talk about how it's okay to send kids to school during COVID because in Minnesota, when Tim Walz won, folks, I got to tell you this. I was an assistant principal at the time in 2021. We were all distance learning, as many people were. And we were told like yesterday, this is in December, this is, okay, you can't go to school. It's dangerous. Kids are exposed. We don't know the risks to kids, even though we do. We know all the risks. They lied to you. They covered it up. But Tim Walz won re-election for governor. And then the next day, basically, they said, we're going to come back to school. Had Republicans won, had somehow Scott Jensen won the Republican election in Minnesota here, they would have fought for stay-at-home, lockdown, school closures, all of this. Everyone's going to be mad. Like, they would have fear-mongered on that narrative, but because their guy won, they needed a victory. So because Tim Walz won the election, that defeated COVID. I kid you not. You can go back in the timeline. I actually wrote some pieces at the American Thinker at the time. That's a great independent site for news and opinion. But I was writing for the American Thinker at the time on the side, and I had a piece. I talked about all the COVID data. The data didn't change. The data that they made decisions on to keep schools closed, it was identical. But because Tim Walz won re-election for governor, that's what made COVID safer. I kid you not. So then he could go out there and say, look, folks, great things are happening. I'm reopening schools because I care about you. That's the only thing that changed. He won re-election. Democrats were in charge, and he wanted a narrative of defeating COVID because, again, they could contrast that to Trump. Trump got us into COVID. He didn't have a solution to COVID. It's all insane. Folks, it's all insane. All insane. Speaking of insane, I think I have one more AOC clip. Let's see if this works.
Vice President Vance and others trying to say that undocumented people are why we have a housing crisis in this country. And they can fulfill their entire agenda. You will never deport your way into more affordable rent. You're never going to deport your way into being able to make your mortgage meet or make your groceries more affordable. In fact, mass deportations may only make those things much more expensive.
20 seconds. My God, folks. Number one, it is the mentality. When you talk about her representing the Democrat Party, yes, this is who Democrats are. They will prioritize a violent, illegal criminal, any illegal, over you, the American citizen, every single time. Get that through your head. They do not care about you. If you're like my friends, you're these middle-class, white, suburban families, they only need you for your tax money right now and to make you feel bad about yourself. They want to demoralize you. That's the only reason you exist to them, because they get off making you feel like a worse human being for having white skin and having money. That is it. AOC very, very clearly says, I will prioritize illegals over you, the American citizen, every single time, even though I'm elected to represent, last time I checked, America. So that is insane. But then this is also getting back into her economic worldview. AOC's School of Economics, folks, she ignores supply and demand. She seems to think that, we have all these people in the country. They all need a home. Now, when there is a lot of demand, this just in, when there's more demand and there's not supply, the supply stays the same. Here come the illegals. They need an apartment building. Guess what happens to the price of housing and living? It goes up. Because if I'm a landlord or I own a home or I'm trying to buy a home, but there's more competition for the same room, they can charge more because now there's a demand for it. How hard is this? And again, supply and demand. When I was in college, took macroeconomics. You had to. Basically on day one, you get a graph. Supply and demand. Okay, let's move the demand line. What happens to the supply line? It stays the same. Guess what happens to the price? You can chart all this. It's intuitive. You don't even have to be taught this. It just makes sense. AOC, though, wrong about that. And again, emblematic of the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party is wrong about everything. They are simply not interested in the truth. They do not care about reality, don't care about the truth. They care about their narratives. Let me see. Let's just play through this. If I deport 10 million people and that depresses the demand for housing, I would say that the cost of living is going to go down. Yeah, folks, this is... Number one, let me pop up the poll again one more time, then I'm going to switch gears here. AOC, number one, who best reflects the Democrat Party's core values, and it is your economic scholar, AOC, and the anti-American AOC. Pretty wild stuff. All right, I got one more clip. I'm going to delete this clip here. I got two more clips for us today, folks, talking about AOC, Jasmine Crockett leading the field, just absolute insanity. I don't even know if it is propaganda in a sense. I feel like it's just, we've taken it to a new level. It almost needs a new name. It's just complete insanity. Like, no one should believe this. Like, propaganda is when there's like some gray area. You're not really sure. Okay, I see Derek Chauvin. He's on top of George Floyd, so we'll just lie the hell out of the fact that he was cutting off his airways, even though there was no crushed ligaments, no crushed larynx. There was airflow, according to the medical autopsy, which was a report until, what was his name? Andrew Baker was the Hennepin County coroner. He did the autopsy. He said there was nothing wrong with George Floyd's airwaves. But then when things started to get dicey, magically he changed his mind when he was on the stand testifying in the trials there. Just wild stuff. So that is propaganda. When they have something shown in front of you and they lie to your face, you don't trust your lying eyes. But at this point, we're beyond propaganda because it is so obvious. Like when the School of Economics comes out here and she's like, no, all these people don't make housing go up. No, deporting them won't make housing prices go back down. No, when we have less money for the federal government, you're not going to be wealthier. It's just like, what the hell? Like, we have taken propaganda. Now you are just stupid. If you believe AOC, you are flat out stupid. But speaking of stupid here, this is also the Democrat Party. This is, what is this dude's real name? This is a man. He is pretending to be a woman. He is putting on long hair. He is putting on what do you call these women? Like the blazers with the shoulder pads. I don't even know. He's putting on a costume. He's pretending to be a woman. And then he has the gall, after forcing you to play by his rules and affirm his delusions, he says that you're the one obsessed with culture wars. You cannot make this up. They get in your face with something, and as soon as you're just like, I noticed that, they're like, why are you obsessed with this? It is so Kafka-esque. Take a listen to, is his name Brian McBride? Yep.
We will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection. I appear to live rent-free in the minds of some of my Republican colleagues. I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. They are obsessed with culture war issues. The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird and it is bizarre. And the American people deserve serious legislators, serious elected officials who are focused on bringing people together to deliver real results for the American people, not to play games and not to engage in schoolyard taunts.
There you go, folks. You're insane for noticing that a man is trying to dress up as a woman, and when you push back and ask questions and say, stay away from the kids, you're obsessed with the culture wars. The people that are trying to impose this anti-Christian, anti-humanist worldview upon you, they are imposing their values, their morals, they're imposing insanity on you, and as soon as you say no, now you're obsessed with it. That is the playbook for Democrats every single time, by the way. They create a narrative. You could take any Donald Trump hoax, for example. Oh, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. And you're like, that is wrong. Why are you obsessed with Donald Trump? Why can't you every time, every single time, folks. But there is, he calls himself Sarah McBride. I can't remember his first name. I had this posted somewhere else. But there was another fantastic clip. I couldn't find it in time for the show today, but he gets called a dude to his face. He's in some congressional hearing. Keith Self from Texas, who I had some issues with. I tweeted Keith Self because during the speaker vote with Mike Johnson, he voted no on Mike Johnson. I'm just like, get Johnson in, move it out of the way. Who cares who the speaker is? It doesn't really matter. That's not going to change anything. Just don't get in the way of Donald Trump. But then this guy's here at the hearing. He's like, okay, Mr. McBride, you're up next. And the pandemonium that broke out in that House hearing, they had to shut it down because these Dems lost their minds. That's a woman. You can't call him a man. And it's like, I'm sorry. No amount of hair or yellow blazers or do they take something to make their voice sound higher too? Or was he just kind of low T to begin with? I guess I don't know. Wild stuff. Absolutely wild stuff here. But that's the Democrat Party, folks. Like AOC and Jasmine Crockett will say that as a woman all day long. That is the party. McBride, who is mansplaining womanhood. I love the irony of this transgender nonsense here, because feminists are always like, don't mansplain to me. I don't need no man to tell me what's going on. I'm a smart, independent woman. And then you have dudes taking over the movement. Feminists are silent on it. They support it. They're like, yeah, we're big enough for every woman. And then you have him mansplaining what it means to be a woman, and they're just silent. It's insane. Folks, this is the Democrat Party. It's absolutely insane. I'm going to finish with one more insane clip, though. Turns out I hate myself. Turns out I hate all of you, because I'm going to play a Whoopi Goldberg clip from The View. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg, The View, saying that in the same sentence, and then saying you're going to be forced to watch this. Give me the water drip torture, please. Whoopi Goldberg, though, says Trump's not going to stop at deporting violent illegal gang members. He's going to deport everybody. I don't know how that would work. I don't know why he would do that. I can think of a few Democrat voters I'd love to deport. A couple politicians I'd love to send to Guantanamo, if you want to call that deportation. But let's take a listen to Whoopi's insightful analysis.
And you just got to keep your eyes open, y'all. Because if they can just come up and take somebody because they've made a decision that you're supposed to be that person, any one of us could find ourselves being deported to some country.
Don't give them any ideas, girl.
Well, listen, you know, it is very clear to me that if we don't continue to say we want, listen, I understand you want to clean out all the bad stuff. I get it. But why do you now have access to my personal information? I get what the things you're trying to do. I don't understand why you're taking my stuff, my person, not my personally, but each and every one of you.
I'm going to try to muster a response to that. Number one, who's the chick wearing a tie? Ladies, I'm sorry. Don't dress like a man. This isn't even a trans individual, I don't think. She's just looking tough out there in her power suit. Don't wear a man's jacket and a tie. You look ridiculous. I don't know who that was. And then I'm going to work my way backwards on this commentary here. Whoopi Goldberg finishes her thoughts like, why do they need all this information on me? Why are they collecting data? Folks, this just in. If you have an Alexa Echo in your house, an Alexa, you have the Google Play, you have a smartphone. We all have smartphones. You use the internet. Folks, this just in, they know everything about you. Do you ever wonder why when you're telling your friend, like, hey, I'm going to go to Menards next week, and then when you open your phone the next time, you get Menards ads because it's always listening to you? Do you ever wonder why when you can just go onto a website and you're going to pay and, oh, look at that, magically everything just self-auto-populates, my name, my address, my credit card information, my birthday? They know everything about you, and especially if you have a smartphone, they're listening to everything you say. They are reading everything you write. They know your entire web browsing history. It doesn't matter if you clear the cache, clear cookies, delete history. They know what you were looking at. Folks, they know everything about you. Whoopi Goldberg has to have known this. Like, do you wonder why Facebook is free to use? It's because they are selling you. You are the product. We've had the Cambridge Analytica story break. Facebook went through that nonsense. Like, when Facebook is free, when Snapchat is free, when all these apps are free, it's because they collect your data that you agree to sign over when you do the terms of agreement. They know everything about you. This is absolutely just bonkers to me. We all know this, right? If you have a smartphone, they know everything about you. If Elon Musk can open up your an Excel spreadsheet and see your social security number, he can find it in 100 different places. It's such a stupid narrative. I hate it so much. But then what main point of the video here, why I played it, is because, well, if he doesn't like you, he's going to deport you. That's just not how this works. Not a single Trump. Honestly, I love that Rosie O'Donnell self-deported. I love that Ellen DeGeneres self-deported. I am waiting for the day for Whoopi Goldberg to go back to Africa. We're such a racist country. Go back to Africa then. Stop complaining. It is not bad. It'll only take, I think, 10 minutes upon landing in any African nation. You're like, maybe it wasn't so bad. No, they're not going to deport everybody. I don't even know what that would look like, how that would work. And it's not because Elon Musk has access to your social security number that he's going to somehow deport you. They know how you voted. Donald Trump, I believe this, folks. I believe this. I'm going to wrap this up today. I believe Donald Trump cares about all Americans. And I said after the election, you're welcome to Democrat voting family members and friends. I said you're welcome because I saved them from themselves. I voted for Donald Trump to make this country great again. Kamala Harris would have ended this country. There would have been no more elections. We would have had naturalized illegals. They would have been voting. They would have voted Democrat forever. No more thing as a swing state. No more popular vote, certainly. It would have been the end of the country, introducing price controls, for God's sake, transing your kid, removing kids if you don't affirm their delusions. So Donald Trump needed to win. And Donald Trump, I truly believe this, has the interest of America at heart. And if he cares about this country, by extension, that means he cares about everybody in it. Donald Trump is not going after Adam Schiff. He's not yet. I hope he does. Schiff belongs in prison. Pelosi belongs in prison. They all belong in prison. But he's not going after them because they are political opponents, per se. He's going after them because they are corrupt, nefarious demons. I don't care what party you're affiliated with if you hate this country. Liz Cheney belongs in the same cell as Adam Schiff. She's a Republican. What are you saying? These are political opponents. D and R, it's all the same feather. Bird of the same feather. He's going after them because of what they did, not because of who they are. Why is this such a hard concept? Joe Biden hated the entire country. I said that earlier, but let me make this contrast here really fast. Whoopi Goldberg says you're going to be deported if you oppose Trump. Not happening. Whoopi's a moron. Joe Biden hated the entire country. Even if you voted for him, your life did not get better. And even if you didn't vote for Donald Trump, let me rephrase. I think I said it correctly. I want to hammer this point one more time, though. If you voted for Joe Biden, your life didn't get better. If you didn't vote for Donald Trump, your life is getting better. Do you see how this works? Joe Biden, yeah, he hated half the country. He hated the whole country. Democrats hate that this party exists the way it does. They hate the Constitution. They hate our history. They hate that it was founded by white Western European Christians. They hate all of it. They hate that we have somewhat of a meritocracy. They don't want people to be successful. They don't want them to get ahead. They don't want to acknowledge that there are innate differences in our skill sets, our intelligence, our abilities, our interests. They hate all of that. They want you to be a robot. And when you look out in the landscape and you see Democrat voters, mission accomplished. They have made robots out of all of you. You think the same way. You react the same way to issues. I know exactly what you think. If you tell me you voted for Kamala Harris, I can tell you right now everything you stand for, everything you believe, everything you will get mad about. That is not how it's supposed to be. But then going back to Donald Trump, even if you didn't vote for him, your life is getting better. Gas prices are down, which will bring down the price of everything because we rely on supply chains, but egg prices are going down. You've seen news there today. There goes another hoax. Gas and egg prices going down. Even though I wouldn't even expect the economy to turn around in 60 days, it already is. It already is. Imagine that. So Donald Trump is making your life better, even if you didn't vote for him, which is why I always say, you're welcome, my Democrat voting family member or friend. You're welcome. I saved you from yourself. And with that, folks, oh, shoot, we didn't get the chats up here. Kagan Girl was saying, I'm going to sign off here by reading some of this here. Kagan Girl says, good morning. Francis is in the chat. Kagan Girl, Francis, thanks for climbing on board today. Oh, no, we had Ralu, the United States of Fascists. Did I miss a troll? I don't think I had a... Folks, this is Rumble Studio again here. I didn't have the live chat banner going today. Oh, that is my mistake. Kagan Girl, Francis, I apologize for not shouting out your comments. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching today. Kagan Girl says he should be pardoned. That was 11 minutes ago. I can't remember what I was commenting on 11 minutes ago, but dang it, I missed Ralu. I don't think Ralu's watching anymore because the YouTube count is now down. I'm a little sad, folks. I'm not going to recover from this for a while. I had a troll that I was begging for. But again, look at this. There's no evidence. Can you tell me in what way this is fascistic? Can you give one example of how Donald Trump is acting as a fascist? Like, no, they can't. They use these words. They don't know what they mean. Dang it, I'm so mad that I missed this one, folks. I'm not going to forgive myself for a long time. Man, the United States of fascists. Who are these people? These people vote. These people support AOC and Jasmine Crockett. They supported Kamala Harris, support Barack Obama. They love watching their own country get destroyed. You can't help everyone. Folks, the way our system is set up, at least, the Ralus of the world can be irrelevant. You don't need to change 100% of minds. You just need a majority. You just need Donald Trump to win the Electoral College, win the popular vote. If we win elections 55-45 every time, we're in office, we're in power. I guess that's good enough. But man, how do you break through the Ralus of the world? I'm going to keep that chat up here as we sign off. And folks, with that being said, coming up on the hour, I feel like these shows go really fast. I don't know about you if you're watching, if you're like, geez, Todd, this is really dragging on here. But for me in this hot seat over here, folks, it's just so much to talk about, so much to break down with the Democrat Party these days. And I appreciate you joining the program today. Kagan Girl, Francis, I'm sorry that I missed your chats earlier there. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the program. And folks, we'll be back next Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Central at the American Tribune Live with Todd Peterson. And on Friday, check us out on our main Rumble channel, the American Tribune, where I do Freedom from the Press with my business partner and co-host, Jason Robertson. Until then, folks, have a fantastic Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week. We will catch you next Thursday.
Starting on day one, we'll implement a rapid series of bold reforms to restore our nation to full prosperity. We're going to go full prosperity and to build the greatest economy the world has ever seen, just as we had just a short time ago. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Great again. Great again.